Alright, YouTube, it's me, David Harry, your favourite YouTuber and vlogger. Right, ignore the mess here, by the way. What it is, I'm just in the middle of doing a video for me 15 Pro Max here, which if you're thinking about buying one, check out my other channel later because there's some serious issues with power delivery from this phone to external SSDs, and I've just done a video all about it. Anyways, what I'm going to do in this video is to play you 3 clips which are my very first examples for me to test for vlogging. These are not kind of serious, as it were, although, you know, the tests are pretty conclusive in what's going on. So what happened earlier on, I went over to Tesco to go and buy me mum a birthday card, but I had the phone and like me little, you know, thing in my pocket and stuff all kind of broken down. So as I come back from Tesco, I thought, you know what, sod it, I'll just do a quick test whilst I'm outdoors. So these are 3 things here. One is on the front camera. The second one is on the 24mm focal length, or the main camera. And then the third test is on the ultra wide. Now, it was set to ProRes 422. I'm assuming it's HQ. And then it was on 4K, 25 frames per second. It was completely fully automatic as well. So basically as out of the box as possible, basically the way most people would use these things. And the stabilizer was on its minimum stability. Get your words right, you tool. Minimum stability. Okay, so let me play through these clips for you here. And what I'm going to do is come back and give you a quick summary of my thoughts on all this. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to test then is the front-facing camera, like the selfie camera thing. Now, I've probably already mentioned as well, I'm only in the standard stabilizer here as well, so none of the 2 extra booster modes, as it were. Now, I did notice there, I think at this, well, actually, I'm noticing now, I don't look the right colour. What's that all about? Anyway, I'm not going to start like slamming into anything right now because, as I've probably already said on the intro to this video, this is really just like my very first test outdoors. So there's a few things that I've got to work out with this. Although the control inside the actual Apple app for the camera doesn't seem crazy good by the looks of it, unless I'm missing something, which it could be. But it looks like the main settings that you can change for it are like not within the camera app itself, but within the main settings area on the phone. So it's a bit of a pain having to go to and fro back in between these things. Anyway, let me switch over to a different lens. Okay, so what I've done now is to flip over onto the rear 24mm lens. Now, what I'm going to do here is kind of go in and out of some shadow and stuff, and there'll be a bit of bright light every now and then, but like going into like shadow and stuff. You know, I'm really interested to see how this whole thing like handles, like, you know, the variance in sunlight. I mean, when I get round to like, you know, working out what the results are from this particular test, what I will do, you know what, am I even looking into the right camera? I don't know. Right, what I will do once I work out, oh, you know what, I've lost myself now because I thought I worked out what camera was what, but because I was around the other side, I got all confused now that I'm round to the right side. Anyway, whatever. So yeah, once I work out, you know, all the things that I need to work out with this, then I can implement all that stuff properly, you know, into like a full-on, you know, proper like how to vlog type thing with the iPhone and that. But also right now, as you can probably tell, I'm right by the road here, so there is some traffic going by every now and then, so it's going to be interesting to hear what the internal mics are like. Now, the other thing with this as well, if these internal mics are okay, which they have been on previous iPhones, then there's a fair chance I might not even have to use, you know, an external mic. I mean, I might have to like use a cardioid in instances like this around a lot of other noise, only because obviously I'd get more direction towards my dialogue or my voice. However, you know, if I'm being picked up okay with all these loud sounds, then it could be a consideration just to use the internal mic. Anyway, let me flip over onto the ultra wide camera. Okay, so I've now flipped over onto the ultra wide lens. Now the thing is, the sun seems to have gone like behind some cloud now, so I might not be able to get any kind of like direct sunlight going on me, for testing what the exposure's doing, and also the white balance. Maybe the white balance, I think, might be a little bit more important for me. And the traffic has picked up again. Anyway, I've just remembered as well, I've actually done some quick indoor tests with this stuff, and the one thing that I might not like is the fact that it looks like every one of the camera and lens options on this phone can do focusing. Now obviously the main camera for doing like the 24mm for vlogging, and also like up to like the 120mm for like, your telephotos, that's definitely going to have field of view. Now anybody who's familiar with the stuff that I do knows that I prefer, fixed focal length cameras and stuff like GoPros and that, and DJI action cams, only because I like to have the entire shot completely in focus and stuff. But with especially like the 24mm on this, and definitely the zoom range within that like lens system, you're definitely going to be having bokeh, and well, not bokeh, but depth of field and stuff. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. But I did some messing around last night with a box on the table because I had nothing else to test with, and it would appear that I think the ultra wide can also do slight focus, and I'm not too sure if it jumps to the ultra wide when it might be doing like macros. I can't remember now, but like I say, every one of the lens options looks like that, they are available for doing like focusing and stuff. Now, if there is too much depth of field on any of these such shots, although I would imagine that would only be in the 24mm maybe, although I think the selfie camera can also put depth of field in, and this is natural depth of field by the looks of it, not like manufactured. The camera can manufacture depth of field. Do you know what, I'm doing all this talking, but I don't know if I'm going to be getting wiped out by all this traffic here. So anyway, the camera can do, or the phone can do, unnatural depth of field, do computational stuff and what have you. Once again, I can't remember what lens I'm supposed to be looking in. However, I'm quite sure when you just go for your straight kind of video stuff, whatever depth of field is in these things is actually being generated from the from the sensor and the lenses themselves. Anyways, I think that might just about do it for this, because these were only meant to be 3 quick tests for me to get a bit of an idea as to what the starting point was with these things. So let me shoot off back indoors. I'll have a quick watch of this stuff and a quick listen. In fact, listening is going to be just as important, because ideally I would really love to go out with something that I don't have to bolt on an external mic with. But I'll have a quick listen and a quick look. Now I will come back to do an end summary.
Okay, so the first obvious thing here was that the skin tones were a bit screwed up. Now, I'm just going to put a pin in that one for now. And some people might think that I'm being a bit unfair here, because if this were a GoPro camcorder, I would absolutely be ripping them a new hole for that one. However, there are other things going on with this phone, such as the Black Magic app, which I haven't tried yet, and certain ways to lock off white balance and stuff and things like that. And these are things that I've not done. So immediately, no, I'm not happy with that, skin tone and stuff. However, I don't know enough about being able to operate the phone to see if that's correctable at my end. And until such times, I'm not going to give it such a bad time for that. Stabilizer, there was little slight micro jitters depending upon which lens was being used, okay? That's something that I'm just going to quickly refer to again. And I think maybe the only 2 negative things. Now, I'm not going to dwell on them, because what I want to get straight to here is the absolute plus points. I think that this may well become my vlogging camera, and I might be about to ditch me action cameras for this phone. Obviously, I've still got to do a few more tests and what have you. Now, the one thing that I'm not really super into is all that depth of field and stuff. However, even with the ultra-wide camera, although it does have the ability to focus, for the best part, it was nice and wide with infinite depth of field and stuff. Now, I don't want to labour the point too much with all that thing, because I know that there's a ton of people out there who actually love a shallow depth of field. I'm obviously in a minority here. However, my minority feelings on this I think I might have to readjust them, only because there were other things about the recording which I was just super happy about. The quality for the start. Now, yes, I'm using ProRes here, and for anybody who doesn't understand the use of ProRes, and although it's a 10-bit codec, it's completely unnecessary for YouTube. However, what it is, ProRes is an intra-frame codec. That's INTRA, intra. But the thing is, the likes of H.264 and H.265 are interframe, INTER, interframe. Now, basically, people refer to this as like iframe only and stuff like that, but the correct terminology is intraframe for what people would normally call iframe only. And, interframe for things which typically have like your predictive and bidirectional frames in, as in IPB. Now, the thing is, although you don't gain any advantage going directly from, say, 10-bit to 8-bit as far as YouTube is concerned, that's not the reason why I'd want to use ProRes. The reason why I'd want to use ProRes is not for the bit depth, but because there is it's massively less compressed, and it is an intraframe codec, which basically means that the actual pure quality that you're getting is definitely better than H.264 and H.265. You can get fantastic encoders for H.264, H.265, and indeed this actually does a great job at that as well anyway. But for very critical stuff, especially where there's very fine detail and movement, you can't beat a proper good codec which is intraframe. So that's one of the big plus points for me. But in general, just the absolute overall quality, it did look really good, and I'm not one to get suckered by these things. There's obviously issues like I've already mentioned, but I'll have to look a bit fit. There's another fly in my room. What it is, right? I've got a bin in the room, and I've been eating loads of fruit. I'm trying to trying to stop being a fat. I was going to say fat F something. No, I'm trying to lose weight, so I'm eating loads of fruit, and I'm getting fruit flies. Anyway, so the thing is, yes, there are some of these minor points that I could bleat on about, but I won't right now. Oh, actually, yeah, the other thing, the microphone, what's that all about? So that was the built-in mic. So all I done there was isolated one of them. There was a slight problem, actually, on the wide. There was a slight sync issue there from what I could see as well. So the audio was very slightly out, although that's correctable in post. I wouldn't want that. That is a bad point. I did see something there. But the audio, wow. Just for built-in microphones, I don't know whether it's as good as my S23 Ultra, because that really does sound tremendous with its built-in mics. But just isolating one of the channels there and centering it and then just limiting a bit and raising it in post, easily all day long. And even though I was right by that noisy road, you could still pick up me dialogue. I mean, granted, I do have a louder than average voice, but nonetheless, this I'm talking about this from my point of view here, and I could see a lot of people getting away with the built-in microphones for this. They do sound really decent. In fact, I would say they sound really good. They're just maybe not as good as the Samsung, but they definitely beat some of the external microphones that you could use as well. So as far as compactness is concerned, what is it? Yeah, let's put it this way. What is there to not like about that setup there? Because that's what I went out with. I also have, but they're not on the table actually, I have these little small tripod legs which are normally go on the 1/4-20 on the bottom, so I can pop things on walls. Now the thing is, in fact, you know what? I'm sorry, I wanted to keep this short because I've got a video to do where I'm slagging off the iPhone, right? So there's the iPhone, right? Now I literally went out with me. Well, you seen what I was wearing in the video. Basically, one of those jackets. Now those two things and my little tripod legs are in one pocket. Now, funny enough, they were actually left there from the last time we went out with something else. It might have been the S23. So just in my pocket. And this was actually on me as well. Actually, it did have a case on as well, though. And obviously this works with the case on it. So this was just in my other pocket, right? So literally nothing else. Now, I know a lot of people might not want to use these things, but it's just like one pocket space. So I went out and literally just screwed the pistol grip to the bottom of the grip there. Now, although I did have the tripod legs on me, I didn't need to use them because I was standing up and walking. Then I just feed, obviously, the phone into it. And I mean, how long is this taking me right now just to do that? And that right there is a nice solid grip for the phone. Do you know what I mean? Now, the thing is, in the past, I would be going out with a phone anyways, with the GoPro and stuff, and then these things as well, maybe in another pocket, even though they may not have been for the phone that I was actually going out with. When I say going out with the phone, I meant my my normal daily phone that I use. That's always with me, and these might be in the pockets anyway because I'd used them on a different phone in a test. But I'd have all that stuff anyway, and then I'd be holding the GoPro possibly with a media mod or another case with the Pro 3.5mm mic adapter in, because as we know, the GoPros nowhere near as good as this with the built-in mics, let's put it that way. But usually you would end up using an external mic with the GoPro. So the thing is, I would be going out fairly much kitted up. Now I can do that without using a bag or backpack and stuff. I might just use a little sling bag, or if I'm really I try not to stick it all in one big pocket because things can break that way, but I have done it before. But the point that I'm getting at is I could lose the whole GoPro setup or a second camera setup and just use that stuff, do you know what I mean? Even if I went out with a nice big pair of baggy shorts on in the summer, I could easily get away with those two things and a little tiny tripod in one pocket and the phone in the other. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, there's just a load of things firing off in my head here as to, what I could do with this. And you have to remember, this was just me vlogging, off the cuff, fully auto. I've got things to obviously, test and check with all that. But, I just can't wait till I get some time to get this on a tripod, switch off the stabilizer and start going fully manual with it the way that I would do with a proper camcorder. And I'm really I can't wait to do it. Unfortunately, I've been sent about 18 products from 3 different manufacturers for my main channel to do videos with for the phone, and unfortunately those things have got to take priority. And of course I will have to do other things on the channel to do with the phone. Oh yeah, there's a quick one for you. I tested this as well. the Rode Video Mic Me See. Look at that. That works. It's awesome. I mean, to be honest, I don't know whether there's a huge gain with this mic from the internal microphones, but I'll definitely do a test of this mic on this channel for me buddies, although I will have to kind of do the proper video, as it were, on my main channel, try and get the numbers and stuff. But yeah, definitely works. And the thing is, even if it is not hugely better than the internal mics, the thing with this, it's not on the table, but this comes with a pretty decent dead cat. And as you can see, because of where it's mounted there, all the cameras are on this side of the camera. So even if you've got a bit of a bulbous dead cat on the go on this side here, it doesn't get into the field of view of any of the cameras because they're all on that side. It's super awesome. Actually, I say that, I don't know, maybe the ultra wide it might, or maybe not, but I will test it. Anyway, yeah, I'll do it. I'll shut up, Dave, and get off. People want to go and you've got to edit stuff. I just ramble. What it is, right? Bottom line to me YouTube buddies, I've been bleating on about this, about wanting to replace the GoPros or action cameras in general with something else as a vlogging device, and that would have to be a phone for portability and convenience. Between this and the S23 Ultra, is it on the table? Right, between these two phones, these are absolutely awesome. Now, I might get around to doing some direct comparisons and stuff for my particular use. I've already done some smart stuff with this as well. I've actually done an exposure test with this, which I haven't uploaded to the channel yet. But between the S23 Ultra and now this Pro Max here, yeah, we're definitely at the point where you can use a phone. And I bet you if you didn't tell anyone that it was a phone and you dealt with the footage properly, all fully manually recorded and stuff, and then you treated it well in post, I think we are now at the point where, with a little bit of care, you can definitely fool people into thinking that that wasn't a phone. And maybe we're only one more generation away from it just being all completely doable in the phone as well, and just coming straight out looking amazing. Shut up, Dave, and get off. You talk far too much, especially after you've been drinking coffee. Anywho, I'm David Harry. Thank you very much for watching this video. Take care and goodbye now.